Salutations, crustaceans. I'm Lobster, and today we are going to be doing a full review of my MTD 535-24 Rose of the Mountain. Let's check it out. This is my MTD USA 535-24 Rose of the Mountain, and this is my favorite bass. Just straight up review over. It's my favorite. Channel over. Channel done. We found it. We found the bass. All done. Thanks. You can go now. So yes, this is just an absolute masterpiece of an instrument. It comes at a price, however, and I'll talk about that later. But first, let's go over the basic specs of this instrument. This is a 535-24, meaning it's a 35-inch scale 5-string bass with 24 frets. There's also a 535-21, and I believe they'll do a 34-inch scale, making it a 534 if you order it like that. However, this is a 35-inch scale 5-string bass with 24 frets. For body materials, we have a one-piece ash body paired with a Rose of the Mountain top and matching knobs. This is just a gorgeous, gorgeous top, and it's an extremely rare wood. I just fell in love with it when I saw it for the first time, and yeah, it's mine now. Now, normally I don't really do a full review of a custom bass, but however, the 535 series, or just, the MTD USA series in general, is somewhat standardized in terms of the electronics and the overall setup of the instrument. The biggest differences between examples of these instruments are usually the woods and some of the little options that are available that I'll talk about. But overall, I would consider the MTD USA series somewhat of a production instrument because they essentially, have all the same body shapes, same pickup configuration, unless you get the super stuff. Now, speaking of the electronics, these have the proprietary low impedance Bartolini reverse P soapbars paired with a, active buffer in the control cavity, and then we have the Bartolini Mtd Preamp. This is a 3-band preamp with a 3-way mid toggle. There is no bypass, and you just have a master volume and master blend control to control your volume and which pickups you want engaged. For the bridge, we have the Hipshot MTD bridge. This is very, very, very similar to the A style with, I believe, a few minor modifications in order to accommodate the MTD strings. However, we are not using MTD strings today. We are using the Stay in Tune, the SIT Foundation nickel strings, gauges 45 to 125. Now, one of the options that this bass does have is the matching wood knobs that match the top of this bass. It's a very nice touch, and I just think it looks absolutely gorgeous. Moving up to the neck, we have a one-piece maple neck with a bird's eye maple fingerboard, 35-inch scale, 24 fret. And this is just a stellar, stellar neck. The nut width is a 1 7/8 inch nut width, or a 47.6 millimeter nut width. It is definitely a wide neck, however the MTD asymmetrical neck profile makes this an absolute joy to play, and it's very comfortable. Moving up to the headstock, we have a matching headstock facing and the MTD World logo, as well as Hipshot USA tuners. These are the Hipshot Ultralights. A very nice touch. Now, in regards to the neck, we do have a 0 fret on this bass, and on top of that we are utilizing the buzz feet and tuning system, which is found on every MTD. If you want me to explain the buzz feet and tuning system, just Google it. I am not going to give you the best explanation there, but this bass is utilizing the buzz feet and tuning system, and I think it works nicely. Now, let's go ahead and turn this bass around. Around back, we can see our ash body, and you may be wondering, hey, where's the control cavities? They are here. We have magnetic covers, and they look absolutely seamless, so it's very hard to notice that there's the battery cover over here for the 18-volt preamp, and then the control cavity down here, which we can pop open. We also have a nice 4-screw neck attachment. The screws are widely placed for nice stability here, and we have a little veneer here over at the heel of the neck. I think that's a neat touch. We also can see the back of this beautiful maple neck. I think it looks great. And then moving up to the headstock, we see the Hipshot Ultralight tuners, as well as Michael and Daniel's signature, and the number of this bass, the production number. Now, how much does the MTD 535-24 weigh? This particular example comes in at around 9.5 pounds, which is very well weighted for a 5-string that's like full-sized 35-inch scale. This is a lot of bass, and it's very nice that it is weighted and balanced perfectly. And it better be weighted and balanced perfectly for the price of the instrument. And the 535/24s come in at around, I think, $5,000 or $6,000 starting, ordering from MTD or any MTD retailer. And then a fully optioned bass like this particular example here with the super rare wood top. The list price of this instrument is around $9,300. Now, I got a substantial artist discount from MTD. I really appreciate that. But yeah, these instruments are definitely on the higher end. However, compared to other instruments in that price tier, you are getting a lot of unique features and a lot of bass. This is, again, my favorite bass for a reason. Not just because I'm trying to justify the price tag, but because the bass is just... it sings. It has piano-like tone, and you can just mold it to any situation almost. You get such clarity in the tone. Speaking of the tone, why don't we go ahead and play this bass so you can hear how good it sounds for yourself. You all know what you need to do. Go ahead and pinch that like button so my hand will turn back to normal. Thanks. You can just get lost in this instrument. The neck profile, even with this super wide nut width, is just so comfortable, and you can just play this thing and play this thing, and it just keeps delivering. The fretwork is immaculate, and just everything about it is a joy to play. It resonates beautifully, and it speaks to you when you play it. Wow. Whew. The clarity, the definition with every note is just superb. It's like an immaculate tone. It's very weird to describe, but yeah, you can just take this bass anywhere tonally. Now, again, we have a 3-band preamp, and it's an interesting one because there is an external buffer for these low impedance pickups, and they respond very differently to your average pickup. And I approach this preamp almost like I did with like the Stingrays, where I like to take everything all the way down and then bring things up from there. So let's do that with both pickups engaged. So the blend is centered, volume is 100%. Now we do have a 3-way toggle here for different mid frequencies, and right now we are cutting 500 Hertz, which is right in the middle here. We also have an option for 250 and 1000, but let's just keep it centered for now. So even with the EQ kind of cutting everything, you still get a very pure tone and a very well-defined tone. Let's start out by playing with the bass control and bringing that up to center. Next, let's take the bass control up to about a 50% boost. So even with the treble and the mids cut, we still get a lot of definition with just the bass boosted. Let's play with this frequency control, having the mids cut and the bass boosted 50%. First, let's flick the mid switch up, and we are going to be cutting 250 hertz. Now let's flick the switch the other way, so we're cutting 1000 hertz instead of 250. Very nice. So when you're cutting 1000 hertz, you get a lot of the low mid action, which is still being boosted with the bass control, at least the lower end of the low mids. So you get a very nice rounded sound, and I like that. With the bass boosted, let's take the treble up to center now, leaving the mids cut and the switch at 1000 hertz. Now let's switch up to 500 hertz so we can hear the difference with the mid scoop going on here. It's interesting how much the mid-frequency target is really impacting the tone and the response of the treble control at center. I really like the higher mids being cut and just a little sprinkle of treble up top, so you still have that round tone like I was talking about. Here's that one more time. So the switch is down, we are cutting 1000 hertz, kind of leaving the lower mids, and we have our treble control centered. Now let's take the bass control down to center and start introducing some mids into the signal. Next, I'm actually going to take my treble control back down to full cut, and let's bring our mids to center. So we have our bass centered. Here's what that sounds like. So we just have the treble cut and the bass and mid at center. And let's slowly introduce the treble back in and try to just fine tune where exactly we want that. Now with our treble kind of fine-tuned, let's take our mids back down to about a 50% cut, and we're going to be cutting 1000 hertz. And let's bring the bass back to about a 20% boost, just a little nudge. So this preamp is just super flexible and I can play with it all day. But let's center things up now and start playing with these pickups individually. I'm going to pan over to our neck pickup. So we are soloing the single reverse P soap bar here. These are again low impedance pickups with an external buffer. A very interesting setup that yields some glorious tones. So now we have our preamp centered and our neck pickup engaged. Listen to that. Even with the neck pickup, we have so much clarity and definition in the B string, and just in the tone all around. What a B string indeed. So now with the neck pickup engaged, I'm going to take the treble down to about a 50% cut, and we are going to play with these mids as well. I'm going to cut the mids to about 50% and boost the bass to about a 50-ish% boost. We'll play with this mid-frequency selector as well. Let's start out all the way down at 1000 Hertz. Next, 500 Hertz. And 250 Hertz. Very cool, very cool. Let's do the opposite now. I'm going to bring the mids to about a 50% boost, and we are going to cut the bass about 50% and play with the switch once more. Let's leave it at 250 Hertz, the top setting, and take it from there. Next, here's 500 Hertz being boosted. And 1000 Hertz. Next, let's center the preamp once more, and here's just what it sounds like, again with the neck pickup soloed, preamp centered. Now, I have taken this bass to several band rehearsals with some of my friends, and wow, this bass just sounds so good in a mix. It sounds absolutely massive and glorious, and you can really fine-tune the tone to just fit into any scenario. They really know what they're doing with these electronics. Next, let's pan over to the bridge pickup. We have our preamp centered. Here's what that sounds like. Now I have to note that these strings that I've been using, the Stay in Tune Foundation nickel strings, are definitely on the brighter side, and these pickups can definitely bring out a lot of brightness. So using this bass in a scenario like where I'm jamming or playing with other people, I definitely turn the treble down just a smidge to kind of, tame the bite a little bit and the sizzle. However, you can definitely hear this bass loud and clear, and the clarity of the tone is also well defined in a mix. It's very nice. So here's the bridge pickup now with the treble brought back about, let's say 30%, and the mids and the bass centered. If we really really wanted to get that tone all the way down vibe, we can just take the treble down all the way and give the mids a bit of a cut and select 1000 hertz over here. So that's the basic gist of what this bass sounds like with both pickups together as well as both pickups soloed. And now let's see how she slaps. Very, very nice. Just the tones that you get out of this are just, you know, superb. Absolutely superb all around. And again, you can really fine tune everything and get the tones you want with this really flexible 3-band preamp. Now, some people have actually ordered these basses or swapped out the electronics for these super pickups, which are not low impedance, and they are the dual coil pickups as opposed to the reverse P here. And you get the coil selections like you did on the Kingston Super that we looked at, as well as the passive tone control and preamp bypass. You do lose out on the 3-way mid-frequency selector and instead get only 2 frequencies to choose from, 400 and 800 hertz. However, the Super Preamp is also just a really nice one, and I hope one day to get a second MTD with the super goodies. One can dream, right? One can dream. Now let's solo the neck pickup and slap it one more time. Wow, that is some slap tone right there. Yeah, this bass can slap. Now finally, with everything centered once again, let's go ahead and throw some drums behind our MTD 535-24. So here are my final thoughts on my MTD 535-24. It's my favorite bass for a reason. It just plays superbly, it sounds awesome, and you can just get so many different usable tones out of this bass. Now there are some big expensive brands out there where people say that, you're paying for the name or you're paying for who owns it rather than the instrument itself to a certain point. And I kind of see that in some ways. However, I don't think MTD is one of those companies at all. These basses and the other instruments that MTD produces are just absolutely next level in terms of the features, the quality, and the craftsmanship. Both the Kingston line and the USA line, everything that I've experienced thus far has been awesome. Now, many of those high-dollar basses out there are using off-the-shelf electronics that you can pretty much get anywhere. Just buy them online and put them in any bass. The MTD stuff is proprietary through Bartolini. The pickups, the preamp, the buffer, everything that you see here can only be had in an MTD 535 or any of the USA series. You cannot get this stuff anywhere else. And I think that exclusivity to the particular type of electronics here, and just the sound that you get, which is associated with these electronics in a big way, is very unique to MTD. And I think that adds value to the bass. I think that makes it much more worthwhile than something with off-the-shelf parts. On top of that, just the quality and craftsmanship that you get here and the attention to detail, be it the fretwork, just the body, the neck profile and the shaping, everything is just absolutely top notch. You get a 0 fret as well, the buzz feet and tuning system, again the proprietary Bartolini electronics, Hipshot USA hardware all around. These guys aren't messing around. This is a killer bass, and it has earned its spot as my favorite instrument. And yes, the price is lofty, but I absolutely think you're getting what you pay for here. So what am I going to rate my MTD 535-24 Rose of the Mountain? I'm gonna rate this bass no, just kidding. 5 claws out of 5. What do you expect? It's a masterpiece. It's an absolute masterpiece. And if you haven't had the opportunity to play an MTD 535 or just an MTD USA in general for yourself, try and get one at some point in your life, because it is an absolutely life-changing experience in terms of bass. And the electronics that you can only get on models like this, as well as just the attention to detail, the craftsmanship, build quality, just everything, the materials used here, everything is top tier, and they absolutely are worth the money in my opinion. MTD is truly an innovator in the bass world, and basses like this, as well as everything that you see in the Kingston line, shows that these guys mean business. Let me know what you all think about my MTD 535-24 Rose of the Mountain down in the comments below, but I don't care because I love it. It's my favorite, and it's amazing, and I love it, and it's mine. It's mine forever. I'm gonna be buried with this bass. And the bass is right here. Right here. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, everyone. Be sure to like, subscribe, join our Discord channel, and leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about my MTD 535-24 Rose of the Mountain. My number one. And as always, until we groove again,